All right, welcome back. So now we've talked about what the relationship is. When I have parallel lines, I know whether they're parallel or not, my vertical angles are always congruent. Linear pairs are always supplementary. There's no relationship with my other angles if my lines are not parallel. But when my lines are parallel, I know that my corresponding angles, my alternate exterior angles, my alternate interior angles are always congruent. And then my same side, sometimes called consecutive interior angles, are always supplementary. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Okay, the first thing we need to do when we have two parallel lines crossed by a transversal is identify the type of relationship, because then we'll know if it's congruent or if it's supplementary. 75% of the time, it'll be congruent, and then the other will be supplementary, right? So if I look here, I'm looking at these two angles. They are, this is my interior. So I can see those two angles are not in the interior, they're in the exterior. One's on the left, one's on the right. So these are alternate exterior, which means that they are congruent because I have parallel lines. So if one's 110, the other's also 110 degrees. Okay? When I look at the next one, my two angles, here and here, they are in the interior. So then I need to know, are they alternate interior or same side interior? One's to the left of the transversal, one's to the right of the transversal, so they are alternate interior, which means they equal each other. So if this one's 84, this one is also 84. Okay? Pause the next two and see if you can do these and get the same answer that I get. All right, let's see if you got the same thing I get. So on this one, my interior is here. When I look at those two angles, the 100 and my question mark, they are both interior, so now I need to know they are on the same side or alternate sides. They are both to the left, so they are same side interior, which sometimes you'll see abbreviated SS interior. Or remember, we can also call them consecutive interior. It's the one with two names, so it's the one that likes to be different, which means they aren't equal, they are supplementary. So if this one's 100, then the other one is going to be 180 minus 100. This one will be 80 degrees. Okay? And then the last one here, when I look at that one, my interior is here. One is in the interior, but the other is in the exterior. So they're not interior or they're not exterior. You have one of each, but they are both below the parallel lines. They are both to the left of the transversal, so they're in the same corresponding position. So these are corresponding angles, which means they equal each other. So if one is 53, the other is also 53 degrees. Okay, so hopefully you got 80 and 53. Sometimes we'll have some examples that involve some algebra. So when I look at these, first thing I have to do is the same thing that I just did before. I have to identify the relationship in the angles. So I'm going to see where they are when I look at these two angles that are marked with expressions, numbers and expressions. Again, I see one is inside and one is outside. They're both above the parallel lines. They're both to the left of the transversal, so they are in corresponding sections, which means they are congruent to each other. That's my symbol for congruent. So that means they have equal measures, and I can say that 75, or that 11x minus 2, I know they're both going to be 75 degrees. Okay, well that's easy enough to solve. When I want to solve this one, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. 11x minus 2 plus 2 is 11x plus 0. Equals 75 plus 2 is 77. When I divide by 11, I get x equals 7. Okay? It does say to check my answer, so if I do 11 times 7, that's 77. 77 minus 2 is 75. So I am good. My answer is 7. Okay? Let's look at this one. If you'd like, you can pause the video, try the problem, and then see how you do. Okay? These two angles are both in the interior. One is to the left of the transversal and one is to the right of the transversal. So they are on alternate sides of the transversal. They're both inside the two parallel lines. So they are alternate interior, which means they are congruent, again, only because I have parallel lines. If they weren't parallel, I couldn't figure out what x was. I wouldn't have enough information. But because they're parallel, I know they're both congruent. So if this one's 132, this one's also 132. So x plus 139 equals 132. To solve this, I'm going to subtract 139 on both sides. And I get x equals a negative 7. Okay? So now x equals a negative 7. Sometimes that makes me worried because we don't usually see negative numbers in geometry. So when I plug it back in, a negative 7 plus a 139 does get me to my positive 132. So the angle is still a positive degrees even though my x value is negative. I checked it out. It still does work. So we're good to go. Okay? All right, and then this last one, again, if you'd like to try that on your own, pause the video, and then we'll come back and see if we all get the same answer. All right, so hopefully you tried this one on your own, and now you're resuming the video. Here's my interior. Both of these angles are in the interior. They're both on the left-hand side. So these are same side interior, which remember sometimes we call them consecutive interior. It has two names because it's the one that likes to be special. This is the one that has to add up to 180. These are my supplementaries. So that means I'm going to say the x plus 109 plus the x plus 89 is going to equal 180. Okay, so now I just need to combine my like terms and finish solving. So x plus x is 2x plus 109 plus 89 is 198 equals 180. I'm going to subtract my 198 on both sides. I don't know where my pencil went. We'll go this way. Subtract 198. So 2x is going to equal 180 minus 198 is negative 18. Divide both sides by 2. Division property of equality. 1x equals negative 9. And again, sometimes I get nervous when I see that negative 9, so I am going to put that back up in here. When I do negative 9 plus 109, that gives me 100 degrees. When I do a negative 9 plus 89, that gives me 80 degrees. They're not equal, but remember we said they're supposed to not be equal. They're supposed to be supplementary. They're supposed to add up to 180. 100 plus 80 does add up to 180, so we are good. We checked our work. My answer is x equals negative 9. Okay, so hopefully that helped you see how to solve some problems when you have these in actual algebraic situations. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure you either go to tutoring or please do ask during sync time. A lot of times some of you will stay till the very end and then ask a question that maybe other people wanted to know. So don't be afraid to ask during sync time. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.